賢者の選択リーダーズ。
賢者の選択リーダーズナビゲーターの八木咲です。今回のテーマはソーシャルビジネス。ご存知の方も多いと思いますが、ソーシャルビジネスとは経済的な利益追求だけではなく、貧困ですとか環境といった社会的課題の解決を目的としたビジネスです。そこで今回は世界的に広まりつつあるソーシャルビジネスを提唱し、世界の貧困問題解決に尽力しているある人物の取り組みに着目したいと思います。
経済的利益の追求だけではなく、あらゆる社会問題の解決を目的とした新たなビジネスコンセプト、ソーシャルビジネス。経済的な持続性を保ちながら継続的に社会問題の解決に取り組むというこの革新的なシステムを提唱したのがグラミン銀行創設者ムハマド・ユヌス。貧困のない世界を目指すユヌスの取り組みは世界の貧困問題解消に大きく貢献。その功績が認められ、2006年にはノーベル平和賞を受賞。そこで今回はユヌスが提唱する21世紀のビジネススタイル、ソーシャルビジネスの全容に迫る。
改めてご紹介いたします。本日のゲスト、グラミン銀行創設者で2006年ノーベル平和賞受賞者でいらっしゃいますムハマド・ユヌス先生です。よろしくお願いします。I'm so honored to have you in this program
Well,
today.
it's my pleasure. I'm very happy to be here.
Thank you. それではまずはユヌスさんのプロフィールをご覧ください。
グラミン銀行創設者ムハマド・ユヌスは1940年バングラデシュで生まれ、チッタゴンカレッジを経てダッカ大学を卒業。1969年バンダービルト大学で経済学の博士号を取得。1972年チッタゴン大学経済学部長に就任。1976年貧困救済プロジェクトを開始。1983年グラミン銀行を創設。2006年ノーベル平和賞を受賞。2013年ユヌスソーシャルビジネスマークを発表。現在に至る。
And now I'd like to ask about your motivation when you started this business in the first place. So the poorest of the poverty cannot have many opportunity to break out to the poverty, right? So what was happening for them? What's the situation of them?
One way I try to explain that poverty is not caused by poor people.
Oh,
They are not the cause of the poverty.
right.
Poverty is imposed on them by the external forces. Because world doesn't behave the way it should to let them give the opportunity, not give money, opportunities. Poor people are cut off from all opportunities.
バングラデシュのある村の女性は金利の高い業者から借りたお金約7セントで竹を買い、手作りで椅子を作っていた。その椅子は金利の高い業者に言い値で買い取られ、さらに借りたお金の利率は週に 10% という高い金利がついていた。このままでは自立どころか日々の暮らしさえままならない。こうした現状に対しユヌスはある取り組みを始めた。
One such opportunity that I was trying to establish for them is to bring banking services to the poor people so that they can have their own money, they can go on creating their own income so that they can pull themselves from poverty. And that became known as microcredit or microfinance.
So would you explain about the microcredit again, please?
Yes, microcredit is again that you give a loan for income generating activity to anyone, any person, any poor person who cannot otherwise find this money. We give the money and she starts a business, and gradually in a weekly basis she pays back tiny little installment to pay back the money. Within 6 months, within 1 year, whatever the time period for which a loan was given, she pays back. And she wants to bigger loan, so wants to do more of this business that she is in. So gradually, step by step, she enhances the capacity of income earning, and size of the income starts growing. Then as she grows with income, her other things start growing. She sends her children to school. She's helping to build a new house for her because now she has income. So her asset base, the wealth base, started becoming bigger and bigger, and she feels more comfortable than did before. We created a bank for that, called it Grameen Bank or Village Bank. It's a bank for the poor people. So this is one facility that we established, helped many, many millions of poor women in Bangladesh to help families get out of poverty. There are many other things. Education is missing, technology is missing, and all other opportunities are missing. So once you bring those opportunities to them, they will not be poor people because they're all capable people. Simply, there's a Berlin Wall around them. They cannot get out of it. So I said, why don't you break the Berlin Wall so that they can be entering into all kinds of possibilities and situations and so on. Today's banking system denies access to majority people of the world. 2/3 of the people of the world have no access to financial services of the banking system. So you need a banking system for the poor people. So that's one, and many other things that needs to be done, insurance, healthcare, and things which they have no access to. So I'm saying that it's a problem is not with the poor people.
Right.
Problem is on the other side, who are restricting them. For example, there are always the economy is in a way to take things away from the bottom and push it on the top. That's why there's income disparity in the whole world.
Right.
There are only 85 people in the world, just 85 people in the world, who owns more wealth than the bottom half of the world population. 3.5 billion people own the total wealth, which is less than the wealth owned by 85 people in the world. So that's the kind of concentration of resources, wealth in few people. So that's at fault. So we need to redesign the system so that it can be an even society, equal society where you can enjoy the same facilities like everybody else.
ユヌスは従来の銀行では融資を受けることができなかった多くの貧困層に対し、無担保で平均200ドル程度の少額を融資するマイクロクレジットで貧困層に平等な自立機会を与え、貧困撲滅に真っ向から立ち向かった。
So you actually did change the banking system, right? But didn't people say that it's kind of too risky to loan the poor without any security?
True, but that's what the traditional bankers believed. I said, well, let's do it, find out. That's what you're saying.
Yes.
But if you do it in a practical way, maybe you'll find it completely different. So we did it, and we found out it's completely different. They're more reliable than the conventional banks' clients. Their repayment has been very close to 100%.
Yes.
Without collateral, without security, anything. And it's not only in Bangladesh, it's working now all over the world. We done a program called Grameen America. Started in New York City in 2008. Now we have more than 20,000 borrowers in New York City, all women. Average loan is about $1,500.
Wow.
And repayment rate is 99.4%. No collateral, nothing. So it works in Bangladesh, it works in USA, it works in many, many countries around the world.
Right. So what do you believe instead of security, guarantee?
It's a trust. It's a trust-based banking. We don't have security, we don't have guarantee, we don't have collateral. Because we don't have all those things, we don't need any lawyers. So Grameen Bank is a lawyer-free bank in the world. It works without lawyers, without legal papers and things like that. And it's not only in few countries in the world, it's almost all the countries in the world have microcredit programs today. But you mentioned something that I have changed the banking system. I have not. I've been struggling to change it. Banking system still remains the way it always was. So the microcredit that you hear is mostly done by the NGOs.
Right.
Banks don't get into that picture at all. So that's my struggle. I said, why can't we create a banking system which is an inclusive system? Nobody will be denied, nobody will be rejected from that system. Even the beggar on the street, or even the homeless person can walk into a bank and take a loan.
借り手である貧困層と貸し手であるグラミン銀行、この両者は信頼という大きな保証があることで成り立っている。これが他の銀行とは違う大きな特徴の一つだという。
Grameen Bank today in Bangladesh has 8.5 million borrowers, mostly women, 97% of them women. And the bank is owned by them. So it's their bank. It's not a bank owned by me or somebody else. So it's the borrowers or the owners of the bank. So as a result, they sit in the board of the bank. So it's a bank which is owned by poor women, who is run by poor women. And it lends out today over $1.5 billion in tiny loans in Bangladesh. And it keeps growing. And the borrowers also are the savers. They put their money as a deposit, as a savings account. Today they have over $1.5 billion in deposit also. So that's a self-contained bank. It's their money, their loan, their management, their ownership. And that idea has spread around the world.
Yes.
But the ownership is still not there in other programs. They're all run by non-profit organizations. So we are saying that if you have a law to allow the poor people to own a bank of their own, then banking system will change.
Right.
Today that law doesn't exist.
But they're independent enough.
Very independent indeed, yeah.
Right.
かつてバングラデシュは世界で最も貧困に苦しむ国の一つだった。国民の半数を超える人々が貧困に苦しみ、度重なる洪水やサイクロンといった自然災害の影響もあり、長年にわたり経済発展が遂げられずにいた。
You cannot really realize the poverty in Japan. So what is the situation in your country, Bangladesh?
Well, we are one of the poorest countries in the world. That's how we started out. But good thing is things are changing, luckily for better. And when we talk about the Millennium Development Goals, there are 8 goals, the Millennium Development Goal. These 8 goals to be achieved by the end of 2015.
ミレニアム開発目標は開発分野における国際社会共通の目標として国連ミレニアム宣言により設定された。極度の貧困と飢餓の撲滅をはじめ2015年までに達成すべき目標が8つ掲げられており、目標達成に向け国際社会のより一層の努力が求められている。
And number 1 goal is to reduce poverty by half by 2015. Bangladesh has done well in reducing poverty and also achieving other 7 goals. On number 1 goal, reducing poverty, it has already achieved that goal by the middle of last year. So we have achieved that goal 2.5 years before the terminal period of 2015. So that's a very happy news that we could brought down to half of the, to reducing poverty by half. And the remaining half, we hope that we can bring it to zero. Poverty to zero, say, by 2030. So we would like to have a country where nobody should be poor in the country at all.
So you really believe that you can make poverty zero in the world?
Yes, not only I'm believing it, I think the whole world believes in it. When the whole world commits itself to reduce poverty by half for the whole world, not just Bangladesh, that means they believe in it. Otherwise, they will not be passing a resolution at the United Nations. So my point is, if you can reduce something by half, if you continue with the same process, you cut to zero someday. Only thing, we have to put now a date when that zero will happen. And in case of Bangladesh, we're saying that zero should happen by 2030. And the next Millennium Development Goals will be soon announced by the next year. And I'm hoping that they will put 2030 as the date where it will be brought to zero.
グラミン銀行設立からおよそ30年、バングラデシュの貧困は大幅に改善された。しかし、さらなる経済的発展を遂げるにはソーシャルビジネスの根幹が重要だとユヌスは言う。
So you're doing this as a social business instead of social charity.
Right? Yes, this is not a charity. We charge interest and they pay interest and the bank makes profit. We give out dividends every year, 20%, 25% dividend. So that goes back to the borrower as owners of the bank. So it's a complete circle. So that's why we call it a social business. It's something that we didn't do it to make money for ourselves.
Right.
We want to do it to help poor people improve their income situation, have confidence and dignity for themselves. But social business is more than just microcredit. Social business could be any problem, like unemployment problem.
Right.
We are addressing that unemployment problem among the children of Grameen borrowers. Now that we are there with them for 39 years, so many of these borrowers have their children grown up and looking for jobs, but there are no jobs. So we said, forget about jobs. Always believe that I'm not a job seeker, I'm a job giver.
Wow, that was such an encouraging word.
So behave like a job giver, start a business. So in order to start a business, you first have to have a business plan.
Right.
If you have a good business plan that we like, then we invest in your business. You get all the equity that you need, all the investment money you need. You go ahead and make it successful and return our money, and you're in business. So we continue to help you and support you. Since we are social business meaning non-dividend company to solve human problems. It's a non-dividend, meaning I don't want to make money out of you. So whatever money I gave you $50,000 over a period of time, 5 years, 6 years, 10 years. You give me my money, $10,000 or $50,000 back, whatever I gave you, and it's yours, and you don't have to pay me any extra. And they like it, and this is what we are doing, turning unemployed people into entrepreneurs.
Right, right.
I could have given the $50,000 to a young person or $10,000 to a young person to start a business as a charity that you don't have to pay back. Then the person who took the money, he said, I got the money, so I'll use it any way I like.
Right.
So I'll not have a responsibility because I don't have to pay it back.
Right.
So I'm not responsible to anybody. Charity money goes only one way.
Right.
It doesn't come back. If it comes back, it's not a charity. So charity has to end in one-way traffic.
Right.
So it takes away the excitement and the responsibility of having that money. So what we tried to do, we tried to create a business out of this money.
Yes.
So that you do that and give us money back. Then I can use this money to give it to somebody else. And in the meantime, he is doing his business because he worked very hard to make sure the money goes back and paid back. When we did the microcredit, the same reasoning. They were very strong in making sure that money gets paid back. So they worked very hard behind it.
Right.
Otherwise, if they are not asked to pay back, they will not be working so hard because I'm not responsible to give it back. So now they work it back and work hard to give it back. So that's the social business. Charity money has only one life. It goes out and does the work, but doesn't come back. So you can have only one time use for the money. But if you create a social business, money goes out, does the work, and comes back. You can reuse the same money again and again and again. So it becomes very powerful. In the meantime, you created businesses after businesses with the same money, which by themselves, again, continues to grow because it doesn't disappear.
ソーシャルビジネスをチャリティーではなくビジネスとして展開することが経済的自立と貧困の撲滅につながると語るムハマド・ユヌス。この後は日本のソーシャルビジネスの現状に迫る。